Golden Axe was already released in other regions. It was a launch title for the European Mega Drive. It's a side-scrolling beat-em-up, hack-and-slash video game. Makoto Yoshida was the primary developer of the game. He was also responsible for the creation of Altered Beast. The game takes place in a fictional world called Eura, where the entity known as the Death Adder has captured the king and his daughter, and holds them captive in his castle. He also has found the Golden Axe, a magical emblem of Eura, and threatens to destroy both the axe and the royal family unless the people of Eura accept him as their ruler. 3 warriors are tasked to go out and rescue the king. You get to play as one of his characters. There's the dwarf, Gilius Thunderhead, the male barbarian, Axe Battler, and a female barbarian, or Amazon, Tarius Flare. You travel throughout the world in various stages, across water, across the sky, even a giant eagle, to get to the Death Adder. In the Mega Drive and the PC versions, you battle Death Adder, and once you defeat him, you get to fight Death Adder's mentor, Deathbringer. In the console version there is also a duel mode. Think of it as modern day horde mode. You keep playing against more powerful enemies until you die. Fun fact, Golden Axe was heavily influenced by the Conan films. Doom is a 1993 first-person shooter made by id Software. It was very popular on the PC and was ported to the 32X for the console gamers. In Doom, you play as the unnamed Space Marine. Your job is to fight through the legions of demons from Hell. How'd you get here? You were sent from Mars to Phobos to investigate a distress call from scientists. In a lucky or unlucky turn of events, everyone dies by you. You cannot leave the planet, so you're tasked with the mission to go through the planet, or at least the enemies. That means you get to take on the entire demon horde by yourself, single-handedly, with weapons and guns. Lots of guns. Due to hardware limitations of the 32X, the 3D portion of the screen was actually shrunk in the home release. Although it was technically capable of rendering the whole screen, performance concerns caused developers to shrink the screen during development. The textures in the game were heavily watered down. This was obviously a performance gain, but it made the game look a bit crap. Fun fact, you can use the level select built in the game to travel at any level you want, but by using the level select at the end of the game you're presented with a DOS prompt instead of getting the actual ending. Star Wars Arcade, or as people called it, Star Wars, very imaginative, was a video game released in 1993 to the arcades. In 1994 it was ported to the 32X. The game is set during the original Star Wars trilogy. You pilot an X-Wing or a Y-Wing, and you can change the view from first or third perspectives. There are only 3 levels. You get to fight in space in an asteroid field, you get to destroy a Super Star Destroyer, you also get to do an assault run on the Death Star. The arcade cabinet allowed 2 people to play, with one serving as the pilot and the other as a gunner. The home version was nowhere near as fun. At the time, the game was criticised for being quite boring in the home console guise, but it was praised heavily for the graphical powers of the 32X and what it could do. If they could see what we could do on consoles today, it would probably literally explode their minds. Fun fact, there was no real fun facts about the 32X version, but there was about the arcade version. The hardware that was released on the Model 1 was never originally meant to be released. It was very expensive to make, and actually was a loss leader. But a little title called Virtua Racer was very popular and ended up being released, which pushed the hardware out the door. Space Harrier and the 32X was a port of the arcade classic. With the increased power of the 32X, they could actually get a closer arcade port than previously possible. The arcade version used the same system board as the one used by Hang-On. In the background behind the scenes it was technically 3D, using math to work out the best way to scale and portray a 2D sprite. So even though it looks 2D, there's actually some mathematics going on in the background. Just like in Space Harrier 2, you're out to defend Fantasyland. The 32X version was considered the most faithful to the original arcade version. Other than that, there was not much else really to it. It was Space Harrier. It was what was in the arcade, now in your home. That was actually a very big puller for it at the time. Fun fact, the arcade version introduced a true analog stick for movement. It registered the player's movement in any area. It also measured how many degrees the stick was moved, which would then correspond to how fast the player would move across the map within the game. Unfortunately, that was all thrown out the window of the 32X version, as the Mega Drive only had a digital joypad.